They were talking about all the districts being redistricted on I don't know if you know, but the reason I'm asking is because Steve Olam got moved into our district.
He moved. He was in my district until District 4.
No, it's third.
He was District 7 for all because of where he was just moved.
Well, no, scenario 1 actually moved 2 districts over and captured them.
What I'm saying was we had to do that.
323 Stage Road is together.
But it wasn't. He lived in JT until just before the filing deadline. And that's when he moved. He was in my district.
Before or after issue 27.
I'd have to go back and he was District 7.
Like we actually changed our boundaries.
One way that we got.
I just would like to see the timing. So if you can have a way to show when you moved that address or something, that would be helpful.
Public record that he sold his house in January, moved into a household and sent it
Also, we did change the boundaries, and that still remains the
It wasn't.
I'm just trying to figure out the timing. Did he take advantage of that? Did he have anything to do with it?
He didn't have any, I mean, I promise you, he didn't have anything to do with it by changing it. Because it's not, I mean, but as far as like his, I mean, I can do that. What those things are, I would love to hear about.
I think we have to have our vote at this time since it's an action item. So at this time, is there a motion to approve the Grace James Academy of Excellence to serve grades 6 through 12? Is there a motion?
So moved.
The next item on the action item is the recommendation for approval of change to school board division boundaries based upon 2020 census data and recently revised precinct boundaries. I will turn it over to Dr. Polio, who I think will ask Kevin Brown to give us the legal ramifications of how we got to where we are today. But I will turn it over to Dr. Polio first, but I think Kevin Brown has some information that he wants to share so the community will understand what we're doing this evening. Dr. Polio.
Thank you, Chair Porter, and I will kick it immediately over to General Counsel Kevin Brown.
Thank you, Chair. You all know Jonathan Lowe, Executive Administrator, Policy and Systems, and Brent West, Manager of our Geographic Information Services. I'm going to go over the statute just so that everyone is aware of the statutory framework around board member divisions. And the County Board of Elections created 50 or a little over 50 new precincts. That then is a domino effect, and that requires the Jefferson County Board of Education, under the statute that I just referred to redraw divisions to comply with the new precinct boundaries. I would note that this is the first opportunity the board has had because of that delay to redraw the precinct boundaries. And so there is a January 1st statutory deadline. That deadline cannot be met because of the domino effect that I described, but we are able to do this process in time for the upcoming 2022 election because this process will be completed, approved by the Board of Elections, advertised in the Courier Journal well before the filing deadline in June. The next slide just shows a little bit about the process. Of course, we're looking at the 2020 census data, the various scenarios. How can we adjust the existing zones to achieve balance? And you'll hear from Brent here in a second about how much the population did change.
So this is the initial analysis here that they did. And as you can see, the population shifted significantly from 2010 to 2020, especially toward District 7. So as they looked at scenarios, when we looked at the total population, District 7 was about 15,000 people over. If we look at the deviation, District 1 was about 7,000 total people under. So the overall theme that you'll see is to try to balance that population from east towards District 1. So at this time, I will turn it over to Karen, and she will go over the 5 scenarios at a high level.
Great, thank you, Brent. So the map on this slide illustrates scenario 1. In this scenario, District 1 gains population by reaching both east and southwest, taking over pieces of District 2 and 3 on the east side, and the northwesternmost portion of District 4 on the west side. Moving west to east, District 4 gains areas on the southwest side of the district, previously District 5. District 5 will gain the area surrounding the airport. District 6 gains a new southern border, taking the area near Fairmount from District 7. District 2 gains the far west side of Jeffersontown, which includes Watterson Elementary. So Watterson Elementary in this scenario moves from District 7 to District 2. District 3 gains a small area north of Worthington Hills and a small area just east of St. Matthews. District 7 loses areas to District 5, 6, 2, and 3. And as Brent mentioned, that is going to be the overall trend because we have to balance those populations. The overall variance for this scenario is 1.14%. Go ahead and go to the next one, Amy. Thank you. So the map on this slide illustrates scenario 2. In this scenario, District 1 gains population by reaching east into the Indian Hills area. District 4 has similar changes in both scenarios 1 and 2. District 5 gains an area south of the airport. District 6 has similar changes in both scenarios 1 and 2, but the biggest difference is that in this scenario, it does gain Wilt Elementary from District 7. That is the only facility change in this scenario. District 2 gains additional area on the east side from on the east side of their existing zone, reaching into the current District 3. District 3 gains the area on the far east side of the district, reaching kind of around Anchorage. And then District 7 loses areas to Districts 3, 5, and 6. The overall variance in this scenario is 0.86%.
So this is truly a decision of the board. You'll notice there's not a recommendation from the superintendent, as this is a question for the board and the board only. And so
we're going to get questions and comments from each board member if you have any. There will be a motion made by Board Member James Craig, but before we go for the motion, we will have a brief opportunity for any questions or comments that you may have. And I would like to start this time with Dr. Chris, and then Board Member Craig, Board Member Marshall, and then we'll move down the list. So starting first with Dr. Chris, any questions or comments, please?
Yeah, thanks to everybody who worked on this. It's good to have a number of options and for the variance to be so low, and for the most part, the districts to look very good and not like other districts that other legislative bodies make that are all crazy looking, gerrymandered even. I prefer to, but I can certainly live with District 1. I'm sorry, with scenario 1. I'm not a big fan of 3, 4, or 5. So either 1 or 2 are okay. Would prefer 2, but 1 would be fine. That's just where I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Board Member Craig, and then Board Member Marshall after Board Member Craig.
Same thanks to everyone. I'm sorry to Ms. McIntosh. I think you're losing a school no matter what, which is sad. I do think that under scenario 1, we're able to keep everybody else in line with the schools that they have today. I've expressed my preference for 1, I think, to everyone on the board. but, you know, appreciate the decision that the body makes. Thank you for your work, Kevin and team.
Thank you. Board Member Marshall.
I concur. Option 1 or option 2 will work for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Ms. Duncan, and then Dr. Shule, and then Board Member McIntosh.
Also appreciate all the hard work on this and the meeting time to explain these changes. And I am in the same boat. 2 is my preference, but I can do 2 or 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, quickly, I'd like to thank everybody for their hard work and for letting the board have the opportunity to see various options that were made available to us. I do want to say thank you to the board for moving forward to make this decision this evening. In some parts of the country, there have been concerns about how the lines have been drawn. And for the district that I represent, losing that many residents could be somewhat COVID related or not. But at any point, thank you for this board for being willing to move forward tonight to make the decision that we have to make as a board to move forward. So at this time, Board Member Craig, if you would like to make your motion, please.
I move that we adopt scenario number 1.
Okay, we have a motion for scenario number 1. Is there a second, please? Board Member McIntosh. So all those in favor for scenario number 1, would you please raise your hand? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you for your hard work, and we will move forward. That completes the action item for the what the approval of the board division boundaries will be. So thank you for that. And now we will move on to the consent calendar.
Let's recap. In January, according to Sarah McIntosh, Steve Ullum moved from J-Town in District 7 to 323 Sage Road in District 2. On April 26th, based on a motion made by James Craig, district boundaries shifted, annexing Steve's house into District 3. On June 2nd, Steve filed to run for JCPS School Board in District 3. Steve did not move into District 3. The boundaries moved over him. James made it happen.